Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and today we got more Destiny 2 The Final Shape news with 3 new trailers showcasing exotic weapons dropping with the expansion, and also this week we got some other information on buffs and nerfs that will be happening as well. So I want to go over all of that and kind of touch on what I'm most looking forward to, the changes that I think are going to have the biggest impact. Anyway, let's jump into it with the first trailer for the Still Hunt exotic sniper rifle. Oh, it's on fire? Okay. I like that animation a lot. Looks sick. Okay, a couple precision shots. If you fired golden gun shots, that's hilarious. Oh my god, he even did the golden gun animation. That's hilarious. Oh, yes. Give it to me. So, this one's very, very interesting for a couple reasons. One, I do think that I can understand some hunters being upset about this one, just because, oh, they're stealing our identity. Every class is going to get golden gun now. But I think this is actually great for hunters. You can run double golden gun. We don't know if it's going to work or have any synergy with Celestial Nighthawk. And you can run something like Tether and this golden gun weapon for insane damage. So I think there's a lot of possibility there. As a Titan main, I think running this is going to be hilarious, and there's a lot of really cool options to pair with it, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is one of those exotics that is going to feel unique and feel special, so yeah, I'm all in. I like when they do stuff that's a little bit out there that might not be super meta all the time, but we'll have to see. The one major thing I'm curious about is whether this is going to be a heavy weapon, special, kinetic, anything like that. Because if it's a heavy weapon, we just got Whisper to be in a really good place, and hopefully that remains to be a viable option on top of the Still Hunt as well. Anyway, let's move on to the next one where we check out the Microcosm. This is a heavy trace rifle, which a lot of people have been asking for quite some time. So the beam is like, it doesn't look arc, it looks clear. And look, that's a void burst there. That's a solar burst. So I've already seen some people mention that this looks underwhelming, but I really feel like there's more to it than meets the eye. This is one of those that, one, will allow me to run a triple trace rifle build, which is hilarious, especially if you toss it on a warlock with Cenotaph. But also, I think there's got to be more. There's got to be some kind of functionality with doing certain types of extra damage, extra bursts, whatever the case may be, depending on what type of shield the enemies have. And we don't even know what shields the new enemy types will be rocking in the final shape. So I'm really, really curious how they're going to make this actually be super effective. You don't really see heavies be super great ad clear all the time, but I think that will change with the final shape. And hopefully that leads to maybe not a triple trace rifle option, but you could run this with sniper, maybe a grenade launcher in the special or kinetic slot, to where you could then have higher DPS with that, or a super that does a lot of boss damage. So there's a lot of combinations there. I'm really curious to see how they're going to make this a viable option when we have other more powerful heavy weapons. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's nice when we get something different with for example, Winter Bite, which was broken at first and now isn't really used. Hopefully that gets buffed as well, because that would be awesome. I want to see that be viable. And then finally we have the return of a D1 weapon, the Khvostov. This one was interesting because it was the first craftable weapon in Destiny 1. What I mean by that, you don't craft it necessarily, but you would adjust some of the perks. And I'm really curious to see if it'll be craftable and how they're going to make this stand out. Wow. Feels so familiar looking at this thing. Every 7th bullet ricochets. I'm really curious how this will work in PvP. Will it be super annoying? especially against hand holders. Imagine you're running against a team that they're all like cuddled up next to each other, and then you run this thing, and it's just bouncing from enemy to enemy. That could be hilarious. But yeah, let's go back here. Overall, this is the one I'm least excited about, only because it feels good to have the nostalgia back in the game, but the other ones just feel more unique. However, this could be the most powerful one. Oftentimes in Destiny, the simplest options, like we look at Strand Titan, was the least anticipated of all the Strand supers before Lightfall. It ends up being the most powerful for the entire year. Same thing with other things we've seen in Destiny, where they really double down on the fantasy aspect of some things, and then the power isn't there, whereas other things are less fantastical but might be more powerful. So that's something that we'll have to wait and see. I definitely think this could be interesting as a AR user in PvP. If I can run this in sixes and maybe run up a few seventh columns because I'm just ricocheting bullets back and forth between enemies who are holding hands, that would make my day. That's definitely something I'm going to try out once the new expansion does launch. Anyway, as far as some weapon changes, I'm not going to go through them line by line, but I just want to talk about the things that I think are going to see the biggest benefit and the biggest downside. So we have Outbreak, I think is going to be very good now that we have it crafted, and we also have a buff to pulse rifles, absolutely massive. Hullabaloo. The Waveframe grenade launcher buff at 30% is pretty nice. So you might see other ways of taking down bosses in something like a Grandmaster or other hard content when you could just absolutely decimate even yellow and orange bar enemies with the Hullabaloo as a Waveframe heavy. So we'll see. Chill clip fusions that are not Riptide. Something that I think will be interesting is how effective those actually are, and hopefully, like a Ruvendale, I think I mispronounced that, but there are other stasis fusion rifles that I think will really benefit. Then we've got things like Symmetry. That one I'm not as high on, but it could be solid. Ariana's Vow. That's one that I really think we'll see a huge uptick in usage once we do get to the final shape, and I'm really looking forward to that. Some things that I don't think are going to see much change, or the adjustments are a little bit overrated, something like Waveframe grenade launchers, are still going to be good in my opinion, even with some of the nerfs. Divinity, I think, is also going to be good, even with the nerfs. Going to take a little bit more time, going to be not as effective for weapon swapping for solo players if you're trying to solo certain endgame content, but other than that, I don't think it's going to take that big of a hit, to be honest. And then finally, the Colony. I'm looking forward to the buff to the Colony, but I don't think it's going to be a meta option. I don't think it's going to be top tier for really anything. And so that's why, even though we're seeing this transition to using heavies for ad clear, I don't know if that one's going to be good enough, to be honest. Although I hope I'm wrong, to be like, I honestly wish we would have a Colony meta, because I feel like that'd be hilarious. Then we've got the ones that I think are actually going to get harmed by the nerfs, and that's the Lament, I think, is the biggest one, because I don't think it needed a nerf necessarily. I understand why. My guess is that we're going to see some new swords in the final shape. They want to really shine. Osteo Striga has been so easy to use for so long. I'm unsurprised that they're nerfing it. It's been really powerful in those poison builds for the Warlock specifically, but I do think that one kind of makes sense. And then finally, the kinetic grenade launchers and snipers for boss damage. They are not going to be changed at all for damage against any other enemy types, but something like the Mountaintop has been very, very useful for boss damage, and now it's not getting that bonus to boss damage going forward, so there's really not a ton of reason to run it, except for the actual perks aside. So instead of a Strand or Stasis rocket or machine gun grenade launcher, sorry, I'm fighting a little bit of cold, so my brain's a little all over the place, so sorry about that. But anyway, so those grenade launchers, again, they're now you might see a rise in the usage of Strand, Stasis, Void, all that kind of stuff. Those types of grenade launchers instead, because of the fact that they're not going to get the damage bonus. And hopefully, they did say, though, they are trying to add some additional functionality to those sniper rifles and grenade launchers. But until that happens, those are going to be probably the biggest loser in my eyes. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they add instead, because I do feel like that is necessary to keep them viable. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more Destiny 2 content. I'm really excited about the final shape. I cannot wait. Hopefully you can either. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.